The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Verdell. He's got the first down and gone. Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good. Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
Foley three. Good. Foley ball. Down Shelley. Three ball. Good. Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Happy Monday, everybody, and thanks for joining us. It's pretty good Monday. In fact, we have a jam-packed show for you today as we will break down the new look version 3 of that Oregon football 2020 schedule. We also have Deommodore Lenoir announcing that he is opting back into the season. Brady Breeze announcing yesterday he is opting out and heading to the NFL draft. We'll talk about that and what the Oregon secondary could look like. Plus, a conversation with sports science coordinator Ben McKay. He works right below us, actually, inside the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. We've got that coming up because Ben is a great guy. You'll want to stick around for that super interesting interview and just what he's up to with the research he's doing in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center and helping student athletes. And that Oregon football schedule is officially here. We will take your Facebook comments and questions, YouTube as well, wherever you're joining us for the show. Thank you for doing so. All right, let's see it. Version 3 of the 2020 schedule starts with Stanford on the 7th of November, and it's going to be at Autzen Stadium. Then the Ducks will head to Pullman, Washington, and play the Cougs on the 14th, followed by a short week against the Chip Kelly-led UCLA Bruins on the 20th. That's a Friday. And then it'll be back-to-back Friday games for the Ducks with a Thanksgiving turkey feast mashed in the middle because Corvallis is where the Ducks will head the following Friday on the 27th of November. Oregon will have back-to-back road games playing at Cal on December 5th. And remember, that was where the Ducks were maybe going to be getting ready for a Pac-12 championship game initially in version 1.0 of the schedule, but now they'll play in Berkeley, and then they will finish the regular season against Washington on the 12th. That'll be at Autzen Stadium. So Stanford, UCLA, Washington at home, Washington State, Oregon State, Cal on the road. There's your version 3 of the 2020 Oregon football schedule. It is now available on GoDucks.com. And reminder, no fans in attendance for Pac-12 games this fall, but practice is scheduled to start on Friday, though we will have some rather sobering things to talk about here in just a moment. This week, we do expect some TV announcements and times to come down, which will have everybody be able to plan their Pac-12 viewing Saturday. I can tell you that we will have every broadcast on the Oregon Sports Network. We're figuring out technologically how to do that, socially distanced, and how all this is going to work. But that is the plan. We've got a lot to talk about because there are still some hurdles ahead of us. And before we talk a little bit more about the full Pac-12 schedule, just a reminder that there are some sobering things happening around us. For example, Lane County experienced another rise in cases over the weekend. So everybody, please do your part. We hope to be able to return to competition safely, but it's all going to be dependent on local health guidelines. And for us here at the University of Oregon, that means Lane County. So again, we saw another spike, and also kind of sobering today, Kevin Sumlin tested positive for COVID-19 per an Arizona Wildcat release. Wishing the best to Kevin Sumlin because they've been now getting ready as their ramp-up procedures are happening there, just like they are here. But they're going to be doing it and ramping up with their head coach working remotely. So just some sobering things to remember as we prepare for what we hope is going to be a great season. But we can all do our part, and we can make sure that we can do this safely. So Oregon schedule. That's on everybody's mind. The TV schedule hopefully coming soon. We will have all the broadcasts on the Oregon Sports Network regardless of when they are. And how about that full Pac-12 schedule? Because I think there's some interesting ones. And those of you who are watching the show are seeing the entire grid, and you can see the way that all this is going to break down. So just some things to note. The home team, or I should say the championship game, will be home hosted. Championship game is going to be hosted by the home team. They're pushing back that agreement with the new stadium in Las Vegas by a year. So the way that it works is each team has 6 games on the schedule already. That football championship game will be December 18th. That does not, however, mean that the championship game will be the last game of the Pac-12 season, because on that Saturday, on the 19th, there could be other games played. In fact, there will be other games played. So the championship game would feature the top team in the North and the top team in the South, and whichever team has the better record will host the game. If there are a number 2 in the North, number 2 in the South, the way that the Pac-12 has it set up is those 2 teams will play each other championship weekend as well. It's what we're calling a 6+1 format. But the entire Pac-12 football schedule is super interesting. In fact, as I look at Washington's schedule, you'll note that they open with Cal. Those might be the 2 best teams apart from Oregon in the North. Washington takes care of Cal. They got to go then play Oregon State. Their crossover game is Arizona. Then Washington State, Stanford, and finishing at Oregon. Wouldn't it be something if Oregon and Washington were undefeated when they met on that December 12th Saturday? Oh, that'd be so much fun. Now, one thing to note, too, the crossover games will only happen once, right? So every team is going to play every other team in the division, and there will be one crossover game for divisional matchups. Oregon's crossover game is against UCLA in week 3. But, for example, Colorado is going to Stanford, and Arizona State is hosting Cal, and all these different scenarios. So that crossover game, and this is important, will count toward your standing in your division as the championship teams are chosen. So Oregon loses to UCLA. Well, that's going to matter if Washington loses to Cal, but then Oregon beats Washington. Well, that's a bad example because then the tiebreaker would still be for Oregon. But you get what I'm getting at, is that crossover game does matter in the standings. Where you are in the standings matters for the championship game. And then obviously, bowl games are a huge consideration in Week 7 as well. That's why you're still going to have those crossover games. So I'm excited to see how things go. I'm excited to be able to, this week and next week, start talking about position breakdowns for the Ducks and going through some of the really intense position battles, because that's what's going to happen soon, is we're going to find out real quick about some of these different position battles, which is cool, which is really, really cool. All right, now, everybody needs a good sense of humor this time of year, okay? And I knew Scott was going to bring it up, so I'm just going to do it right now. Sam on YouTube. Not sure wearing a mask and social distancing would keep me safe from those curls of yours, Joey.
Zing!
Wow! Couldn't get through another day without the hair mention, huh? All right. I get that maybe we're done talking about the hair, but on November 7th, oh boy. Remember, I'm on record. I said I would cut my hair when there's live Oregon sports again. I'm still holding to that. Sam, thank you. Appreciate it. Also, I see a few other people in the YouTube comments asking about some things that have not yet been announced, and I don't know. And remember, because of our connection, I'll just say it again, our connection with the University of Oregon. We're sitting here inside the Oregon Athletic Department headquarters in the Casanova Center. For example, recruiting and all these things. NCAA compliance doesn't allow us to talk about them on the show. there it is. Deommodore Lenoir says that he is coming back. Posted an awesome video on his Twitter. And essentially it's just he's coming back, which is awesome. So for Deommodore Lenoir, this is a huge deal for Oregon athletics and for Oregon football because it's the last 27 games Deommodore Lenoir started. So that's experience in the secondary. They call him Mr. Bump and Run for good reason. He's a great press corner, has made some highlight plays in his career for the Ducks. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure, wondering, so they opt out, they opt back in, how's that going to look? And there's a lot of questions around the NCAA, what the waivers could potentially look like, and all these different things. But at the end of the day, Deommodore Lenoir is announcing that he's coming back. That's pretty darn cool. And of note, Brady Breeze announced yesterday that he is headed to the NFL. He said I'm summarizing, but he thanked a lot of people. You can see his post at Brady Breeze on Twitter. He's the 2020 Rose Bowl defensive MVP. He was a conference champion, a Rose Bowl champion, an Oregonian. Brady Breeze wishing you nothing but the best after he announced on Twitter that he is turning his focus toward the NFL draft with the uncertainty around the 2020 season. I'll never forget this about Brady Breeze, that he was famous for, in interviews, he would always use his teammates' nicknames. And I loved that in his announcement, he did the same thing. Jordan Scott, Fat Mac. And he said, Bryson Young, Blackhawk. He always did it in interviews, and he'd catch himself, and then he'd correct it. He'd be like, oh, we got Blackhawk, Bryson Young. He would have to correct himself like that. And I always got a kick out of it. I always thought that, that's just so cool. That's because he's just such a good teammate, like he just is so close to all these different guys, and it was really cool. So for Brady Breeze, wishing you the very best at the next level, buddy. And for Deommodore Lenoir, we'll see. Hopefully that 27 games started turns into 34 games started, and I think Duck fans will be pretty darn happy about that. Yes, Trevor says, looks like you need a haircut. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you. I got the message. Thank you. Devin says, I've heard rumors there are other players possibly opting back in. I don't have any insight on that. I certainly will say that with more clarity in the season, I think it's easier to make some of those decisions right now. Tobias says, also famous in interviews for hogging the mic and getting shut down by Cristobal for taking too long. That was really funny. So Tobias, I got to remember, though, did Brady do that more than once? I only remember that happening once where Coach Cristobal gave him a hard time. I'm trying to remember if that happened more than one time. If so, let us know, Tobias, in the comments. All right, more of your Facebook comments and questions, but there you go. That's the news of the day. We've got a Pac-12 football schedule. We're going to chew on it throughout this entire week, get some thoughts from some different folks. And then also just a reminder, and some of the sobering variety, that Lane County, again, has experienced another rise in cases over the weekend. And Kevin Sumlin, the Arizona head coach, tested positive for COVID-19 per a school release. So everybody be safe, all right? Everybody be safe. When we come back, how about a little bit of Products news? Justin Herbert balled out this weekend. We're going to talk about that and hear from Ben McKay, sports science coordinator here at the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. Whew. And also, hey, Hayward Field. We got to talk about Hayward Field. That's all still to come. Stick with us. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Back inside the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Learfield IMG College.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running?
That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio. By the way, so we're going to go and take a look at Justin Herbert's weekend. It's going to be our Oregon Imaging Center's inside look. But real quick, first, so let's get caught up here. And I've got some YouTube and some Facebook, and I'm keeping track of everything, I promise. You got to bear with me. Busy day. You got to bear with me a little bit. Trevor says, watching from Cottage Grove, that's awesome. Nitro watching from Thousand Oaks. Hello. And then Tobias says, I think it happened at a regular post-game press conference as well, but I'm not positive. Either way, the Rose Bowl interview was epic. Breeze was loving it. Yeah. So I don't think that Brady Breeze ever went too long except for that one time that I'm thinking of. But it was really funny when Coach Cristobal was like, man. But Brady Breeze, man, wishing you the very best at the next level. That's going to be awesome to watch. On the YouTube side of things, Dylan, is the Pack going to be eligible for the playoffs? So yes, that is the idea. So the selection show is December 20th, and we're all hoping that we're unwrapping a Christmas gift for the Ducks, being that they're in the playoff. That's the hope. So the way that it's going to work is, look, every conference is going to be different. Every conference is going to have different guidelines, different things, and different things that happen along the course of the season, different number of games. And what I mean by different number of things happening is, does every conference team, say every Power 5 conference team is able to get every game in? We don't know that right now. We're seeing postponements. We're seeing those sorts of things. We just don't know as we continue to navigate safely through this pandemic. So, Dylan, is the Pack going to be eligible for the playoff? Yes. Will the Pac-12 get in if a team goes 7-0? Who the heck knows? Let's just hope that around Duck Insider, we're asking those questions. All right? Let's just all agree that we hope to be asking those questions that a 7-0 team should get into the playoff. And Croc, when will you know if you're able to broadcast the games on the radio? We are going to broadcast the games on the radio. I can definitively say that now as the broadcast ops coordinator and one of the guys who's on the broadcast team. We are doing the games. Technologically, we are figuring out ways to do the games remotely. That is a challenge, as you all can imagine. But we feel that in order to maintain social distance, to not be traveling, to not be exposed to a lot of different people, and to ultimately still be able to have a broadcast, we are planning to not travel to the road games. Now, of course, I say all of that here on October 5th, and maybe we're all fortunate and we have a vaccine and things are looking positive, and then maybe we will be able to travel. But we are right now planning on not traveling and figuring out ways to call the games remotely. So I hope that answers your question, Croc, and I appreciate you asking. But we will find a way to do this. It is my mission over the next month to figure out a way to make this happen for Jerry and Jorgie and Terry. And then before we know it, it's going to be basketball season, and Terry and I are going to be doing the same thing for men's basketball and women's basketball. So anyway, I think that answers everything. Time for your Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look. Oregon Imaging Center is a proud sponsor of Oregon Athletics, established in 1988. Well, we're going to go inside on Justin Herbert's start. How about that 53-yard bomb for his first touchdown off his back foot? Justin Herbert, the 22-year-old, against the 43-year-old Tom Brady. Tom Brady was younger than Justin Herbert is today when Justin Herbert was born. Can I just say that again? Justin Herbert is older today than Tom Brady was the day Justin Herbert was born. Justin Herbert had a perfect passer rating through 3 quarters, actually. And he joins Cam Newton. This was a crazy stat. As the only quarterbacks with 900-plus passing yards in their first 3 career games since 1970. That's absolutely nuts. The one mistake that he made was the interception. And what are you going to do when Tom Brady, who's maybe the greatest of all time, throws 5 touchdowns? I thought that maybe Jerry said it best in a text thread between myself, Mike Jorgensen, and Terry Johns. Jerry Allen said, if he had Oregon's D, he might be 3-0 right now. And I just went, oh, that's good. I got to mention that on the show. So Justin Herbert, though, continuing to ball out. And I'll tell you what, any rookie playing better than him right now, I'll wait. I don't think so. I really don't. Justin Herbert, I think, right now is playing better than anybody, and he took advantage of the opportunity in front of him. Your pro duck of the week, to me, is Justin Herbert. Oregon Imaging Center is bringing you your inside look at Justin Herbert. Oregon Imaging Centers, choose quality, choose service. Choose Oregon Imaging Centers. The choice is yours. Scott asking, have you covered or will you on what Ducks are leaving the team this season? Yeah, so as we are right now, Penei Sewell, and this is again at 1:21 in the afternoon on October 5th. Things change rapidly these days. Penei Sewell has opted out. Brady Breeze yesterday announcing that he has opted out, and Thomas Graham Jr. has opted out, and Javon Holland has opted out. Deommodore Lenoir has opted back in. I don't think I missed anybody, and there's your update. We had a great conversation with Ben McKay. He is the sports science coordinator for the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. So in other words, he's the one who's taking advantage of all the different technology and the resources that we have around us here at Oregon to help student athletes. Data tracking. All these different resources that student athletes have at their disposal. And a big reason is that they've got some great, great stuff in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center, but it's really because of people like Ben that all of these great resources are available. We sat down with Ben McKay, had a great conversation, sports science coordinator in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. We continue to talk about the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center, and it's my pleasure to talk to a guy that I've talked to at football practice quite a few times, but we've never had the chance to get him on the show. Now, unlike Jordan Troster, at least Ben and I have met in person, because Jordan was the first guy that I think we've had on the show from Oregon that I actually haven't met in person, Ben. So we got to talk about that as Ben McKay joins us from the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. Ben, how are things? I haven't talked to you since, March. What's been going on?
It's been crazy, Joey. Things are going well. We're adapting. It's obviously on the fly, and there's news coming out every day. Things change at the drop of a hat. But, we're doing well. We're working with what we've got. You're very, very excited to have Jordan on board and getting him into the madness of it all. But, doing well.
It is a little bit of madness right now. I've been going mad trying to keep up with everything, and I imagine you guys, as procedures and protocols change, Ben, it must be crazy. I want to talk to you about that. Ben McKay, sports science coordinator, joining us from just downstairs, actually, in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. Ben, maybe you don't know this. Maybe you do from watching the show. Everybody who comes on has to tell their 2-minute life story if it's the first time that they've been on the show. So what's the 2-minute life story of Ben McKay?
Gee, all right. Where do we start? So I grew up in a little small coastal town 4 hours south of Sydney in Australia. So you can probably tell by my accent I'm not from around these parts. Went to school, loved my fishing, surfing, sport. Played almost anything I could. Then went off to university at the University of Wollongong. Did a master's and bachelor's degree there. And then after my master's in clinical exercise physiology, I had the opportunity to come over here and do a master's in research with the Oregon football team. And so my supervisor approached me about this. And I was like, oh, you want to go and work in college football and get your master's degree? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, I didn't really, the only thing that I knew about college football was the things that I'd seen on the movies. And he's like, oh, it's with the Oregon Ducks. Like, yeah, it'd be a good opportunity for you if you want to work in this space. And I always had a passion to work in elite sport. And he goes, just go and Google it. And I was like, all right, I'll go Google it. I Googled it, watched a couple YouTube videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is insane. And so as I watched a couple videos, I was like, all right, it seemed pretty big time. And then then obviously came across the Marcus Mariota Performance Center video, saw some of the stuff that they were doing, some of the research that was getting published, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to take this opportunity, which led me to do my data collection here for 6 months. And it was the best experience I've probably ever had. And then I was lucky enough 10 months later to be offered the sports science coordinator role, and very fortunate to work under Jace Delaney for a year before he headed off to the Boston Celtics. And then I was running the shop, I guess, for 10 or so months. And now we've got Jordan here, which has been awesome, and I'm really enjoying it. Guess that's a little bit of a fast forwarded version, missed probably a lot, and it's probably over 2 minutes, but I gave it my best shot.
It was actually a little bit under 2 minutes, so you had some time to not fast forward through. But Ben, that's awesome. I gotta say, I think I speak for everybody in Oregon athletics that we're really happy to have you. We're glad that you came across some videos that were like, yeah, I want to go there. Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's a really cool story of a way to that you found out about all this. Let's go back in time though just a bit, Ben. I mean, what got you interested in the sports science field in the first place, and how's that I guess developed for your interest moving forward?
Yeah, I guess where I start with this is there was a pivotal moment. I was going to university, and I always thought I enjoyed business studies. I enjoyed construction, and I also really loved sport and PE. And I had a coach say to me, hey, Ben, you love sport. You love helping people. You're a very personable person. Why don't you go and try something in sport and exercise? And I was like, all right. So I applied to university, went to university and did my exercise science degree. Coming out of that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so broad. Like, I could go anywhere in this. I then sort of went into a clinical exercise physiology degree, which is a degree that trains you to be able to train or rehabilitate injured athletes, whether that's from a cardiopulmonary, neurological, or musculoskeletal standpoint, virtually getting them from their injured state to being able to function, whether it's sport, walking down the road, doing their shopping. And then after that, because I was really passionate about that and I really wanted to work in rehab in sport, then yeah, obviously my supervisor was like, here's this research opportunity. It's got to do with sports science, and this is your project, or this would be the project. Are you interested? And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm definitely interested, and went through what I just explained before. And yeah, I just was like, wow, for two things, I can really have a positive impact in an elite setting. And then it just seemed like you work and collaborate with like-minded people that have a common goal, I guess. And yeah, that's what's kind of led me here today.
I think that's really cool to hear you talk about the team that goes into all of this, Ben. And let's expand on that a little bit for folks. I mean, what does a day look like, and what does maybe a season look like, if you could elaborate on what you're doing each day and all the different people that you're working with to provide all these tools to coaches and athletes?
Yeah, a season. So I guess just to start off, like, my job, I'm only as successful as the people I work around. Yeah, if we work really well and collaboratively together, we succeed and we achieve great things. If we don't, that's where it falls down. And very fortunate to work with some really awesome people within the athletic medicine, strength and conditioning, and then also the coaching staff on like a sort of a first basis. But then also above that is like the administration. And I think here at Oregon, we've got an awesome environment that that really fosters that collaboration and a shared common goal. So yeah, we work very closely together, but moving through a season, we've obviously got preparation phases and then we've got competition. So within those preparation phases is a time where we're trying to develop specific qualities to the sport, which is strength, power, speed, fitness. We want to grasp an idea of what we need to develop for each sport. We test that with some pretty cool technology and testing protocols, which gives us that information. Then we train it, make sure that we've improved those qualities, and then we go out and play. And when we go out and play, we're just trying to keep our athletes healthy, making sure that they're ready to go each and every week. And if we do occur or have an injury occur, we've got the tools and the systems ready to go to get them back to as high a level as possible to keep them safe and healthy in their coming games. So
we're talking with Ben McKay, sports science coordinator. We sat down with him a little while ago, and we're going to have the rest of his interview coming up for you in just a little bit. I did see one question asking about if the Ducks could potentially move up any higher in the AP poll. Oregon currently sitting at number 12, and again, the AP poll, it's been kind of up and down depending on teams that are playing, teams that aren't playing, teams that are now playing a little bit later in the season, and just it's been all over the place. The Ducks are now sitting at number 12. I think Kyle was asking, could you see them up to the top 10 before they take on Stanford? I could. I mean, 100%. You know, I think that the Ducks, a preseason top 10 team, there's no reason to think that before they play their first game, why the heck not? Obviously, guys who are on the roster could affect that. I think a lot of people probably look and be like, well, you know, no Penei Sewell. Maybe that changes some voters' opinions, but I'll tell you what, Oregon's still pretty darn good. I think that Oregon is still probably the most talented team in the conference, which is saying something. So, yeah, I think that it could happen. Also, Tobiah, Ben does have an awesome mustache. No, do not throw the flag. No. No. You cannot throw a flag for something that's awesome. So Tobiah said, can you throw a flag on the show for that awesome mustache? Why would you throw a flag on something that's awesome? I don't get it. Have I been not paying attention to football for 27 years?
I think it's because I haven't thrown a flag in months, Joey. It just felt good to do it.
I hate officials that just throw flags to throw flags.
The people come to see me throw flags. Right? Center of attention? All that? All right, never mind.
Tobiah, you've unleashed the monster that is Scott Phillips. It's not even a Friday, and we already went off the rails today. All right, we're going to get a timeout. When we come back, more from the Hayward Field unveiling. Also, Ben McKay, sports science coordinator. We'll continue that interesting conversation with him after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
All it takes is one drop to make a wave. One beat to inspire a track. One spark to get creativity flowing. With every drop, Life Water refreshes your mind and restores your body. Purified water, pH balanced with electrolytes for taste. Designed with original works of art on every bottle. Let us be your source of inspiration. Life Water, the feel-good water.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
I can't. I've been laughing this entire commercial break. Doug Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're inside the Country Financial Studio. I appreciate Sam's sense of humor in the YouTube comments today. He says, can you comment on whether you misinterpreted the phrase curls for the girls? Thank you. Joey's curls opt back in for 2020. Female fans unanimously opt out. Sam, I gotta tell you, we don't usually get this until like a Friday. Normally a Friday on Duck Insider is when things just go completely off the rails. That made me laugh. That's funny. Oh man, that is very, very funny. Also, William says that the flag should be for I think he means that the flag should be for excessive celebration. 100% excessive celebration on the part of Scott Phillips and Tobiah. This is ridiculous. Officials that throw flags just to be the center of attention. Can we all agree? No. Absolutely not.
So long, Joe.
Who wants that? No.
It was
no.
A good catch, though, by the way.
Nobody wants that. Anyway, we'll take more of your Facebook comments and questions. I appreciate this today, everybody. Thanks for having some fun with us. Because we continue our conversation with Ben McKay. He was great. Catching up with him, talking about what goes on in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center on a daily basis. It's really fascinating what those guys are doing down there, and it really is a community effort. The trainers, the nutrition staff, and Ben and Jordan in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. Just really awesome conversation. We continue with Ben McKay. The growth of this industry, though, Ben, has been really cool for me to see, and I think that Oregon has been on the forefront of it in college athletics. You coming from Australia, I know that that's sort of regarded as the birthplace of the sports science industry, right? Could you expand on just how much this industry has grown, and also the follow-up to that is what's it like in Australia, and how has that influenced the rest of the world now?
Yeah, right. Well, I think Jordan went over like where it's sort of all the birthplace per se in Australia for the 2020 Olympics. So I won't really touch on that, but a lot of my experience was within like elite environments in Australia, and what you notice is it's nothing crazy other than just like like-minded people working very, very, very well together. And like any business or corporation, you know, like for success, you need to work together and collaborate, and that's what drives, ultimately success. So I was exposed to that. I was fortunate enough to meet some extremely highly regarded people that head up departments in certain sporting teams in Australia. So I had a pretty good idea of how that worked. And then coming over here was like, oh, this is a little bit different because, one, we're in collegiate athletics, not pro sport. So instead of having like one performance department, we've got 20 performance departments. And then it's like, it's relatively new. So this isn't common language. We're really trying to educate and sell or like help people understand how sports science is like a fancy word, whether I like it or not is another thing, but how that can help drive decision making and ultimately help with success.
Ben McKay joining us, sports science coordinator. All right, Ben, I gotta ask just about the procedures and how you guys have adapted during this time. I mean, this has just been a wild, I think, ride for all of us. Feels like you're on a roller coaster, just trying to figure out what the new procedures are, how fast things have changed. How have you guys adapted to that, and how have you guys adopted these new procedures and executed them over the last few months?
Yeah, like you said, it's been one point we're full steam ahead, second, then the next day we're putting the brakes on. And I'll say that like our medical department and the people that have been helping sort of flesh those procedures out have done an awesome job, and they've been working their tails off, and I'm really happy that we've got those people like on our side of the fence. I guess it's made it a lot easier, but again, like it just comes down to collaboration, making sure that you've got a really regimented and structured plan, but also being adaptable. Like things change so quickly and you've got to pivot. And if you don't pivot, you get caught. So we've had a couple of scenarios where, like football, for example, we're preparing for a season. Like we were getting ready to play and our team was getting ready to play, and we're in the mindset that we're going into camp. And feel extremely sorry for our players and our coaching staff that put a lot of effort into trying to get our team ready to go into camp, and then having that sort of all fall away. That was a pretty hard time, I guess. And I really hope that we can start playing again sooner rather than later. But then we've had some opportunities with other sports that are like, all right, well, we're not planning on playing anytime soon, but we're just here to get better. So then we are able to look at certain qualities, certain things that we don't necessarily get to work on because we've got the restraints of getting ready for a game. So we can work on those things. We don't have to push as hard. We can create a really fun environment. And I think our coaching staff and the support staff around that have done a good job in that respect.
That's cool to hear. You know, I think so much about the adversity and the adaptability of everybody involved in these processes. I think everybody around the world has had to pivot like that, like you said, Ben. I think that's a great perspective. Sports science coordinator Ben McKay joining us. All right, I got to ask now a little fun question for you. Biggest difference between the United States and Australia?
Oh, that's tough. So I'll give you when I came over here for my master's, I was like, I got off the plane and I was like, oh yeah, this is normal. Like the only difference is like we might have different accents and we drive on the different side of the road.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then as time come on, I was like, wow, culturally it's different. Like Australia is extremely laid back, and we seem to grind over here, which is a good thing. It's taught me a whole nother skill set. But the food's different. I will say Oregon is amazing. It's one of the most beautiful places that I've been, and it breaks my heart to see the wildfires at the moment, and I hope that everyone's staying safe. But it's amazing. I love it here. The people are awesome. The people that I work with are amazing. I'm very comfortable in this spot. So,
food that you miss in Australia the most? And the favorite food that you've had since you came to Oregon?
So it's crazy. The coffee in Australia is amazing, and so is breakfast. So breakfast is a big deal in Australia. What I love here, and my dietitian girlfriend's probably not going to like me saying this, but is the wings.
Yes.
I love wings. Yeah, I love wings, which, whether or not that's nutritionally good for me or not, but that's probably my favorite.
Well, I'll say this, like they say, everything in moderation, right, Ben?
Yeah.
You know? I think we could all agree on that. I had to ask you some of those fun questions, Ben. Now, finally, what's next for you, Ben? I mean, I'm always curious kind of where people want to go in the next direction. Staying in sports science, what do you want to do next?
That's a good question. It's a prominent question, and I always find it hard to answer because I love what I'm doing here at the University of Oregon, and I don't really focus on what's next so much. I'm more focused on opportunity, and at the moment, Oregon just presents such a unique and awesome opportunity that I'm really enjoying my time here. One day I would really enjoy being in a role similar to Jordan. Being able to use my experience to help others across our own department, but then also within other departments. I think that would be a really unique role. I love working in collegiate athletics. It's unique. Like we don't have this in Australia, so that in itself is awesome. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have any particular goal, which is probably maybe not a good thing. Maybe I should start thinking about that, but maybe it means that I'm content here at Oregon at the moment. I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
I think that's a great perspective. I think a lot of people feel that way. It's a great place to work. And Ben, again, I speak for all of Oregon Athletics, I think, when we say we're happy to have you. Ben McKay, Sports Science Coordinator, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm glad that you're here. I think everybody's stoked that you're here. Thanks for what you do for student athletes and beyond. And thanks for letting fans get to know you a little bit. This was a lot of fun. I wish you the best, and hopefully we're seeing each other in person sooner than later. We can all cross our fingers and hope for that.
Absolutely, Joey. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys having me on here and looking forward to, something a little bit more normal, I guess, but that's how it is at the moment.
I hope so. Well, hey, thanks, Ben. Appreciate the time, my friend.
No worries. Thanks, Joey.
He's a great guy and has a really, really bright future. We're sure glad that he's at the University of Oregon. Sports Science Coordinator Ben McKay from the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. Coming up, we're going to see Hayward Field, and we're going to talk about Hayward Field and how awesome Hayward Field is. And we have a few other things to talk about from the product landscape as well. Your Facebook comments and questions, YouTube comments and questions. Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Back inside the Country Financial Studio next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports-watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics. This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to
stadium.
be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. Taking a look at the Oregon football schedule one more time if you're just joining us. The Ducks will open things against Stanford, followed by a trip to Washington State, then UCLA on a Friday night, back-to-back Friday night games as Oregon will play on Black Friday in Corvallis. That wasn't a pun. Cal will also be on the schedule then on a Saturday, and Washington on the 12th of December for the final game of the scheduled season. Then the next weekend, hopefully the Ducks will be playing in that Pac-12 championship game as we take a look at your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. So it's Stanford, Washington State, UCLA to open the season for the Ducks. 3 on the road, 3 at home, 2 on Fridays, and hopefully a championship game appearance against maybe another undefeated Pac-12 South team. That'd probably work out pretty good for everybody, right? I think we can all get in for that. Deommodore Lenoir announced that he is opting back in for the season. Brady Breeze announcing that he is headed to the NFL. Practice will officially start on Friday. Hayward Field was also unveiled, and Justin Herbert balled out. There's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington serving Northwest-inspired catering and takeout for your next gathering or meeting. Menus, cafeyum.com. All right, so we're going to do this in 2 segments because it's really freaking awesome. The new Hayward Field was unveiled to the team on Friday. Absolutely beautiful facility. We've seen it from the outside. Oregon track and field head coach Robert Johnson said that his team has been working out on the concourse of Hayward Field in order to adhere to social distancing policies. In fact, they did their first team meeting in the stands at Hayward Field on Friday, and they were all spaced out with multiple chairs in between each individual. But the team got to see the facility for the first time, and it's the first time that the majority of people have seen the facility for the first time. Robert Johnson said that he wanted everybody to see the facility after the student athletes did. Didn't want to ruin the Christmas morning moment for the student athletes, and he certainly didn't. They loved what they saw. It is a world-class facility complete with a pool table, a custom foosball table, some other stuff that you don't really need to perform well on the track or on the field, but it certainly helps with your Pop-A-Shot game. The Ducks are very, very, very lucky to have this, and I'll tell you what, thanks so much to the donors that made this possible. Hayward Field is something else, and the Ducks were able to see it for the first time on Friday, and they were pretty excited about it. I really do want to shout out again to Robert Johnson for the way that he approached this, because the Oregon track and field head coach really wanted to make this special for his team, and he definitely did. Now here's to fans getting a chance to see the new Hayward Field as soon as possible. So everybody mask up, everything that you can, and do your part, because we'd love to have you back for World Championships and Olympic trials, and maybe, one or two Oregon track and field meets in between them. It's pretty darn cool. You can see more on the Oregon track and field social media accounts, including the video that those of you who are watching the show are seeing, but it is a world-class facility right here at the heart of Tracktown, USA, and the University of Oregon. Can you believe that Hayward Field was established, and the new logo says it, in 1919, 101 years old. So about 100 years old, we celebrate the 100-year birthday of Hayward Field by just completely updating and making it a world-class facility. Pretty outstanding. More on that note and some final football thoughts as we'll take our final break, and then, well, suddenly it's going to be a Tuesday. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're back inside the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union inside the Country Financial Studio, where today's show is brought to you by Jackson's Food Stores, proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Head to Jackson's for all your game day essentials, and you'll have everything you need for the big game. Go Ducks. And by North Fork Public House, open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. You know what's coming up again on Fridays? Picks. Picks will return. Jerry, Jorgie, well, at least I think they're going to return. I haven't gotten Jerry and Jorgie's I don't know their schedules yet, but I'm thinking that they're going to return. I made a pick spreadsheet, actually, over the weekend when the schedule came out, and I went, oh, boy. Because you know who's the defending picks champion, obviously. This guy.
Is that you? Have you gotten your lunch yet from Jorgie?
No, but it's okay. It's all right. We're gonna figure that out. Hayward Field, though, continuing on that front as we wrap up on a high note. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing facility. And again, Robert Johnson holding his first meeting with a microphone standing on the track at Hayward Field, just outstanding. Deja Stevens is one of many Ducks featured on an approach. It's really the hallway that goes to the locker room is just decorated with all these great Ducks. Some memorabilia from the Olympic trials and just some spectacular green and yellow artwork celebrating the history of Tracktown, USA, celebrating the heritage of Hayward Field, and, of course, in typical Duck fashion, doing it with a little bit of flash as well. And it's outstanding. An indoor training facility now housed underneath the stands at Hayward Field. And fans, I don't know if I can express enough how game-changing that is for Oregon Track and Field, because Oregon Track and Field did a lot of their indoor training sort of at Old Hayward Field, but it wasn't as spacious as it is now, wasn't as well equipped, so they actually did a lot inside the Mashofsky Center. And now they've got a brand-new world-class facility. And Robert Johnson said it last week that, you know, many of these student athletes, they haven't had a home venue for 2 years. So just how cool is this for the Oregon Track and Field student athletes? And, you know, they lost their indoor championships, outdoor season. Cross country's been moved to the spring, but how's that going to work if you have cross country athletes that are competing in other events? Track and Field's been hit maybe the hardest by this thing. But I wanted to end on a high note. Hayward Field, pretty outstanding. We'll see you tomorrow.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent.